Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this episode, let's talk about a piece of terminal tackle that is designed to help you enhance your punching rig, your Texas rig that you're going to be using for punching into thick cover. But before we get started, I just wanted to remind everybody, if you enjoy the content that I'm putting out there, make sure that you consider hitting that subscribe button. And also, another great way to support this channel is to ask questions. You know, I come up with a lot of content ideas on my own, but a lot of them come from you, the viewer. And so if you have a topic you want me to cover in a video, drop a comment in the comment section on any video. I'll read it. And if it's a topic I feel like I could weigh in on, I will do a video on it. So thank you guys in advance for that. All right, so now let's talk about the punch skirt. A punch skirt is a really cool thing that really has been on the market for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years now. It's definitely been at least 15 years since I first started fishing a punch skirt. And it's essentially very similar to your regular like skirt replacement for a jig, spinnerbait, chatterbait, something along those lines. However, it's specifically designed for punching heavy cover. And my favorite ones that I use are very specially designed for punching, in that instead of having a rubber center, I really like the ones that have a hard, like bead-like, center instead of just a piece of rubber. The reason why I like the hard plastic is twofold. I like that the weight kind of bangs against the hard plastic. It makes a little bit of a sound, but it also seems to be less susceptible to being cut by like braided lines. So I'm a big fan of the original, the hard plastic versions that are out there, which I think that there's several nowadays that make them. I'm going to put some affiliate links in the description below of some ones that you might consider buying. But in general, what we're doing with this is, and again, they're called punch skirts. You can use them with lighter Texas rigs, but I'm usually using them with heavier Texas rigs. So we got a Texas rig rigged up here, a dummy Texas rig. And essentially, you just make your Texas rig. I'm pretty much always going to be pegging the weight with either a bobber stop or some type of T-peg, rubber peg. But that's essentially what it is right there, is it transforms a regular Texas rig, soft plastic or Elastec bait into more of a jig profile that has that skirt material that puffs out and really has a lot of action all by itself. So when do you want to use the punch skirt versus just fishing a regular Texas rig? So this is still a question I ask myself, but there's certain situations that I really believe in a punch skirt overall. The first scenario that I think a punch skirt really excels at is when the bite is very slow, when those fish are really sluggish, maybe a very heavy cold front move through. I'm going down to Florida, and that's where I use a punch skirt a lot because I'm punching heavy grass, heavy vegetation. And one of the best scenarios for punching that heavy grass is when the fish are really just dug into that stuff. And that happens usually on the worst days when it's cold out, there's a big cold front, and those fish are just not willing to be swimming around the flats. That's when I'm going to be punching. And one thing that definitely happens a lot is if you have a strong enough cold front, sometimes you have to work your punch rig in that cover for a long time. Sometimes you're just pitching it in there, lifting it once or twice real quick, and then pulling it out. But there are times, and I've had many tournaments in the past, where you have to punch it in there, maybe let it sit real slow, lift it up real slow, and then maybe bring it up to the surface of the mat and then just shake it like that. So a very slow presentation where you're keeping it in that spot for a long period of time. Those are the scenarios that I think a punch skirt really helps your situation, because even if it's sitting still at the top of the mat, you can see that the bait itself isn't moving a whole lot, but that skirt still moves quite a bit. So the skirt material is just going to continue to kind of undulate and breathe and create just that subtle action even when it's standing still. It's almost like the movement that you'd expect from a crawdad that's just in there. All its legs are just kind of moving slowly. So that's the first scenario that I really think that a punch skirt helps the bite a lot. And I feel like I've got a lot of bites from a punch skirt that I otherwise wouldn't get from a regular Texas rig. Now, the other scenario is when I just want to bulk up my bait. I want a presentation that's just a little bit bulkier, but it's the great thing about a punch skirt is that it's really not adding bulk to the bait, so you can still get it through whatever cover you throw it in. But it still has that, once it gets through that cover, you know, it fluffs up in the water column and it gives the illusion of a bigger bait. So it does add that kind of like, you know, big, billowing profile under the water. So that's another reason why I like to throw the punch skirt. Other than those two scenarios, it's just really personal preference. If you like that jig profile, you know, that skirt profile, throw it. You know, if you have a lot of confidence in it, I think that it can always be a great way to kind of add something different to your Texas rig. And a lot of fish, you know, when the punch skirt first came out, I feel like a lot of fish saw it at that point. I don't think they see it near as much as they used to anymore. I don't see as many people throwing the punch skirt as you know, they were back in the day when it first came out. So anyways, throw the punch skirt whenever you feel like it's going to add something to your bait, regardless of the conditions. Give it a shot. That's all I'm saying. So anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on the punch skirt. I think it is a great invention, a great addition to a Texas rig in a lot of different situations, especially when the bite is really slow and when you need that bigger profile. So let me know how you guys fish the punch skirt and what scenarios you think it helps you get extra bites. Other than that, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm going to see you guys out on the water. Make sure you trust the process.